Hey guys, it's Julesy, and unless you live under a rock, I am sure you have already seen, at least caught wind of, heard of, about the fact that I got to participate in a new YouTube original series, BookTube. In this episode, I sat down with some other YouTubers to interview one forever flautist. Oh my gosh. One Michelle Obama about her memoir, Becoming. And I still cannot believe that I was afforded this opportunity, like girl. But because of this opportunity, it is now a great time for us to get into the Smart Brown Girl book review of Michelle Obama's Becoming. You know, I ended up reading this book way sooner than I had intended to because obviously the opportunity to interview her about her book, duh, who's gonna come to a interview Michelle Obama unprepared? Not I, said the cat. Well, there's no way for me to discuss the book without intertwining my experience around interviewing her, and some of my more complicated thoughts around the book were reaffirmed by my interaction with her. So let us get into this discussion, and if you are new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications, because whether you like it, love it, or don't agree at all, it is a critical dialogue, a discussion where we encourage you to think a little deeper, interrogate your analysis, and engage in a very fruitful discussion respectfully. And yes, hitting that thumbs up, leaving a comment, and sharing. I know it's like, why do you always remind us of these things? But so many ways that you can help support the Smart Brown Girl movement, that you can help me be able to keep this going here. Thank you. I love you all. Now, most importantly, I put it into the ether, into the universe, that my aspirations were. So my goal, though, is to eat dinner with the Obamas. It's going to happen in the next maybe 2-3 years it might take. But I'm getting invited to an Obama something. And boom, here we are. It actually happened not in 2 or 3 years, but it took all of 2 months. And girl, I am so eternally grateful and like can't believe it. This is like a brand new feeling. Woo! Oh my Lord, check my pulse. I got an email on Friday at 11 p.m. with Michelle Obama in all caps in the subject line. They knew we was not gonna turn this opportunity down, even though there wasn't no money involved. I was in my car driving to Columbia, South Carolina to see a friend perform, and I get a notification on my phone with that I have an email subject line Michelle Obama all caps. And I'm looking at this like I'm thinking, it's no way. No, no way this is real. And then I see the date for it, and I see that it's within like less than a week. I now have to read this book. And you know, like as I said in my 2019 book list, I am very seriously knee deep into reading very dense history books. I'm already a very slow reader. And then I had a very brief moment of panic. But then I remembered, chill sis. You have an Audible account. Just log on to Audible and download the book and listen to this while you're in this 1.5 hour commute. Each way, that's 3 hours right there in the book, sis. You got this. You know, this is new year, new me. Or at least a half attempt to, you know, think through some of my time management skills and get it done. No, I didn't make that 2:30 yoga. It's okay. But you see here, having foresight. Very, 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 very smart brown girl of me indeed. So I opened up the Audible app and then boom, I had already used one of my credits to download Becoming. There it was at the top of my list, just waiting for me to hit play. Like, sis, all the foresight already downloaded to my iOS device. I don't know why. I just didn't say iPhone. We're being too extra here. But look, now you too can get more reading done by downloading Audible. And if you use my link, audible.com/Julesy, or text Julesy to 500-500, you get your first 30 days on Audible free with a book credit. Look, sis, go ahead, download Becoming. Be prepared. Be smooth with it. One of the great things about Becoming on Audible is that it's narrated by Michelle Obama herself, and she's a very gracious, even tempo, even kill reader. You know, for me, her reading is a little bit on the slower side, but that's a good thing, because part of what I want us to remember when we talk about books and encouraging other people to read more is about accessibility, and about the accessibility of entry points into reading, between time management and language barriers. Audible is great because you can listen to it while you're working out, while you're driving, while you're walking. You can multitask. And particularly with Becoming, I was able to speed up the reading, speed up the rate at which Michelle Obama is talking in the app. But since she reads at such an even tempo and she's so even kill, it didn't disrupt the audio or my ability to enjoy and to absorb what she was actually saying. But to get to the crux of the book. At the beginning of Becoming, with the opening scene of Michelle describing making what she called a cheese sandwich, as soon as I pushed play on Audible, I was like, girl, what in the white woman can't cook is happening here? I mean, I don't even know if this is fair to throw it on white women's, because I went to the Austin book tour stop and Rachel Ray, who was moderating that evening, also made a clip about, girl, what in the blue hell were you doing putting bread in the toaster oven, then putting it in the microwave long enough for a glob of cheese to melt on top and acting like that wasn't a brick? Like, how could you actually eat it? What kind of blue magic you got going on, sis? Please, put us on. Put me on, because I don't understand. That cheese sandwich storyline was one of the things that really stuck with me, girl, because I was just so blown. But it really stuck with me, and I submitted it as a question because I really did want to talk to her about it, like for real. Then Michelle Obama walks into the room. We were in the studio, we're recording, and she walks in, and I was so blown away when she walked into the room that I forgot half of what I was supposed to say, including the questions about the cheese sandwich that I really wanted to ask her about didn't happen because, well, it just escaped me, and I couldn't account for how much of a fangirl, or I didn't account for how much of a fangirl I am of Michelle Obama, how much this one woman really meant to me, so much so that when she walked in the room, it all kind of came crashing down on me. Like, literally my entire hour and a half with her was just me trying to keep myself together. I think I did a good job, but whew, stressful. Now, for as much as I love Michelle Obama, for as much as I am awe-inspired, forever eternally grateful, she is absolutely my forever favorite First Lady, I absolutely still have criticisms of the book. And if I'm keeping it a buck with you, it was a good read, but definitely not one of my favorite reads. Like, nah. But what I did enjoy was the first half of the book. I really enjoyed that she didn't immediately jump in or center the book around her relationship with Barack Obama, nor did she settle into this narrative of her life as though she put her head down, she was just some great person and so daggone determined that she was able to overcome all of the hurdles in life because of simple self-determination. She didn't rely on the nose respectability politics to tell her story of what it meant for her to be the first Black First Lady, particularly the type of like identifiably Black girl from Southside Chicago, dark skin, like all those things. I think it would have been very easy for her to fall into certain respectability politic tropes that we see so often in the narratives of Black celebrities. But I'm grateful that she didn't do that at all. And part of what is so amazing about Michelle is that she is truly an intelligent person. She's not the first celebrity that I have met and interacted with, but she does have a level of intelligent awareness of her place in life, of her status, of what she represents and what she means, particularly to other Black women. She is very politically savvy, even though she does not like politics. And I'm saying all this because this is what I picked up from her aura, from being in like her physical presence. And because of this, I'm even more inclined to want to ask more of her than what she has given us. And I also don't feel steadfastly comfortable with that ask either, because I'm aware at the amount of labor that we tend to put on Black women. But let me backtrack here, because I think a good way for me to articulate some of my thoughts around it is to read you guys the questions I submitted to the BookTube interview for approval. All right, let me put up these seconds. So I have 5 questions. First one. Much of the rhetoric targeted at Black women with regards to relationships often centers around and prioritizes intimate relationships and marriage. One of the things I appreciated about Becoming was the undercurrent motif of the importance of a diverse range of relationships, particularly with other Black women, both as friends and maternal figures. In the pop culture context, we tend to refer to Michelle in tangent with Barack, but I would love to hear her expand on her friendships and close communal support and how she imparted this on her daughters. Question number 2. One of her most referenced quotes is, "When they go low, we go high." But in Becoming, there's several passages where she's noted either her mother giving someone the business, as she should, or passingly critique the more laconic approach of her elders to conflict disruption and particularly institutionalized racism. Can we dig a little bit deeper into what it means to go high? Is it simply about turning the other cheek, or are there other ways to infer going high? Number 3, Barack's ascension to the White House paralleled the rise of, or maybe even the zenith of, an online cultural war. We've seen a direct shift in how politics are pursued, in part because of the Citizens United Scoutist ruling and the rise of trolling coming from out of the dark corners of the internet and into the mainstream. Michelle definitely absorbed a high level of this trolling and aggressive nastiness that I don't know we saw thrown at any other First Lady. How did she navigate that? Has she read any books that helped her understand what was being thrown at her? Number 4, in writing Becoming and looking back at her family history, that she realized that her family story is part of the canyon of African American history. Number 5, I really appreciated that she did not retell her history as simply her being, i.e. a young black girl from Southside of Chicago that makes it to Princeton, then Harvard, because of simply hard work and tenacity. Instead, she acknowledges the various webs of helping hands that lifted her up and opened doors of access and opportunity. This ties back into my question because community, in that her family escaped the South during a period referred to as the Nadir and created a close web that might not have entirely saved the elders, but became a system that was able to buoy their offspring. That wasn't really a question, that was more of a statement, but girl, it was late and I was like, there was a discussion definitely we had within that. So number 6 was a question about the cheese. How did she both toast bread and then put it in the microwave long enough for a glob of cheddar cheese to melt and the bread not be hard as a rock? And has she read any James Cone? Because in Becoming, there is a passage where she references someone, maybe her homegirl that passed away from cancer, or like some at some point at Princeton, something, I don't remember exactly, but she references somebody telling her, that she needs to read all these things, and one of those things she needed to read was James Cone. And if you watched all of my book lists, I think at least twice now I have mentioned The Cross and the Lynching Tree by James H. Cone, which I'm still trying to get through. We are still not done. It's on my Audible though, sis. See there? We got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the first question was actually approved for me to ask. They did take out the part though, where I said, what part did they take out? In the pop culture context, we tend to refer to Michelle and Tanya with Barack, but I would love to hear her expand on her friendships and close communal support. They took out that part. Okay, but that question really hits to one of the true highlights of the book for me, is the diverse range of relationships that Michelle talks about. She really does highlight this point that I've been making about how it is important for us as Black women to deprioritize intimate relationships as the end all be all, as the highest status symbol that we can attain in relationships. There is not a moment in the first or second half of the book even when she does get more into like the throes or the sticks of her relationship with Barack, but there's never a moment that other family, friendships, acquaintances are not present in very important ways throughout her memoir. All of these relationships and acquaintances that kind of gave her a helping hand in order to allow her to ascend and avoid the trappings of the era of Chicago that she grew up in. Even as a young child, she talks about memories with regards to her homegirls. And in the interview, again, she does speak to how she always had a love and a need for a girl group, her girl posse, which I really loved. I asked that question kind of thinking about some of the things we've seen in the news about Malia Obama. And as a Black woman, I don't know if I could say this universally, but I don't know, aren't we all the time, every time we see some news piece about Malia being like, girl, she needs some more black friends. Like, where her black homegirls at? Girl, protect me at all costs. Get you a black girl magic squad to protect you. Keep you away from Daily Mail always up in your business for no daggone reason. And in reading Becoming, I'm thinking of how interesting it is that Michelle not only stresses the need for friendships or the value of friendship in her life, but she stresses the particular value of relationships with other black women specifically in her life. And she does allude in her book that she's imparted this on her daughters, ensuring that they specifically had a group of black friends to associate themselves with. I mean, I know we believe that Sasha definitely got it. Sasha got it. I'm just wondering, girl, there's no shade, no tea, but I know we all thinking, what's up with Malia, sis? Where your black homegirls at? Please. My second question, asking her to go deeper into the we go high when they go low comment. Now, this was not approved, obviously. Well, none of my other questions were approved, but this one, I knew that one was, we tried. We just, maybe just keep it in mind that in some way, form, we can veer into this direction just a little bit, maybe not so politically as I implied it, but we could veer into this. But this was based partially on one of my critiques of the book, particularly when she talks about how various members of her family and people in her life have reacted to racist discrimination against black people, systematic inequalities, institutionalized racism and systematic inequalities against, black people generationally. And it didn't sit well with me in the book because she glosses over the institutionalized racism that has encompassed a lot of her black identity as a black girl growing up in Chicago. And it definitely impacted the life of the elders in her family. And then she, to me, surprisingly addresses very briefly the fallout with Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who was supposed to do, I believe, the benediction at Barack's first inauguration. And because of a Rolling Stone headline and article, Barack, with his hands tied, was forced to distance himself from Reverend Wright. But now that we're kind of like a few years removed from all of this, I do believe there have been some articles that have dug a little bit deeper into Barack Obama and Reverend Jeremiah Wright's relationship. Why Barack had to do what he had to do, but how he was also still wrong in his treatment in response to the highlighting of some of Reverend Wright's more radical, shall we say, sermons discussing America's deep legacy of racism, white supremacy, and terrorism against the Black American community. And the we go high when they go low sentiment, while it sounds good and is oft repeated, I do think it definitely kind of encapsulates the duality and cognitive dissonance of the Obamas. I done already said Michelle is a very intelligent black woman, and she strikes me as a person who is not unaware, that she's not one of those people who has gotten so wealthy and so out of touch that she doesn't know what the plebeians or the poor people are doing anymore. What are you doing over there on the other side while I drink my champagne? She's not that person at all. She doesn't have that sort of aloofness that comes with fame and exorbitant wealth. She knows what's up, and I think in my heart of hearts, she even leans towards some more of the radical politics that are backed by black feminist and liberation theory. She also is about her business though, and so she walks the line in a way that leaves a lot of us who do hold these black feminist opinions wanting her to do more, because we know she got it. It's not that I want her to do more simply because of her position, because of the power or the audience that she holds, but it's because I actually think that she can articulate it, that she gets it, that she's already here with us. It's just some brand strategy getting in the way of all that. We want her to call out the systematic racism that has deeply oppressed the black community. When we get to her time in the White House in the book, or even before the White House when Barack is running for local office, her resentment towards the lack of equity that she initially received in her marriage, or to her having to sideline her career ambitions in order to allow Barack to flourish politically, her being the mother and career woman while Barack was gone. I don't want to characterize it as though she addresses this like it's an indictment against Barack. Clearly, she has an understanding of the unfairness of how American society views motherhood and therefore participates in patriarchy. question number 3 was based on, I read Killing the Normies. This is again in my 2019, or might be in the 2018 book list that I put up at the top of this year. And that really highlights the rise of trolling and the cultural wars and a lot of the present day history papers, or like white papers, I guess, or journal entries around what is happening historically in the 21st century. A lot of that conversation centers around, particularly around political history, around the culture wars, and all of it particularly highlights Michelle Obama. In Killing All the Normies, it also talks about Michelle Obama and the sort of like unparalleled, visceral trolling that entered into an acceptable side of the mainstream media, and that like Fox News is a propaganda machine that somehow has been able to validate itself. I knew this question wasn't going to get approved, but I do think she did kind of hit on this. I feel like Jessica Lee's question, you know, there's a less political way to frame it than the way that I framed it, in that Jessica did ask her about how she deals with negativity, and she responded that she just turns it off. She doesn't, like, she had initially tried to be like, oh, I'll read it when I'm happy, and she discussed how she says it's unfortunate because now the medium is negativity. I think that was the phrase she used. It did not end up in either of the videos that are posted on the YouTube channel or any of our videos, I believe. I don't know. I think I need to go back and, you know, I be having ADD. I be half watching when I watch stuff. I really did think that was an interesting way that she phrased it, in that it's the medium is negativity, and that there is power that people, or maybe I said that I interjected, that people get a false sense of power from being able to be contrarian, or having what they think is really just a lot to say, but they think they being deep when they can criticize other people. Question number 4, when I asked her about her family becoming being Canyonized, essentially, which means that, you know, we are all a part of African American history, right? Every one of us who is descendants of slaves brought from the coast of West Africa to America, we are all part of African American history in this country, right? But to become Canyonized in that is like to say, like, we have a Langston Hughes, or we have a Maya Angelou, and now, you know, Michelle LaVaughn Robinson, her family, that family history, the fact that her family migrated from Alabama, or was it Arkansas, up into the Chicago area, like, that is now a Canyonized. It is an integral part. It is part of, she's up in the upper echelons of, you know, African American history. This came from the fact that what I did again enjoy in the first half of the book was that it is essentially, I don't know if she was conscious of it though, that it is, and maybe this is just because I've been reading a lot of history, particularly around Black history, that I'm now picking out more of the historical elements of her family story, and wanting to speak to that, how some of us could read this and take her family story as pretty mundane and just regular. She's like the special person, but I do think particularly when she talks about her great uncle Terry, and her aunt who taught her to play piano, and her grandpa Southside, and, you know, how he came up with his brother, you know, because I've done my own family genealogy, and I come from one of the poorer branches on my dad's side. Even on my mom's side, I tend to come from the poorer branches. Like, there are branches on both sides of my family that left and economically did pretty well. You know, everybody in them branches didn't make it through, but a good number of them economically to this day have been able to sustain themselves within the Black middle class. And my branch, not so much. And the common theme on both sides is that they left the South, or on my mom's side of the family, they left Baltimore, and they were veterans, and they were able to post the New Deal with FDR and switch over to Democrats kind of pantomiming to the Black community, and creating more social service programs, that they were able to be early participants in these government funded programs and survive as Black middle class folk. And I think that also attaches itself to Becoming, because essentially in Michelle Obama's storyline, she also was able to survive as an early participant of programs that give a sheen of doing something for the Black community, but they don't really do something for the Black community. Like, she went to Whitney Young High School in Chicago. You know, we look at the history of the education system, particularly with regards to the Black community in the south side of Chicago. A lot more nuances. There's a lot of redlining. There's a lot of zoning laws that negatively impacted other Black schools. But she was able to kind of get out and get into a program. I don't want to say luck either. It was like the right amount of people putting their hands out and covering her and her brother, because her brother is also very successful, that they were able to maneuver through a system that was kind of being built up but was definitely crumbling at the same time. And that's what I say when we think of the canyon of African American history, right? Is that this is a constant story of really fighting and advocating and pushing to be treated with human dignity. The government kind of acquiescing us a little bit, but further maligning us as a community as a whole through its policy. Institutionalized racism, always gonna be racist. You know, capitalism always gonna capitalize, and that's where we at. And I appreciated just how much in the research that I've done around my own family and the research that I've done about Black history, that I could pick up a lot of that in her book. And I don't know, she was conscious of the things that she was acknowledging. Does that make sense? Or are we just rambling here, girl? For as much as I can criticize about her glossing over institutionalized racism, and even when we encountered her, I understand people are upset about Black booktubers not being picked for this. We're gonna do a whole different video on that, but part of that is Michelle Obama's team was heavily invested in who got to be present for that interview. I feel very comfortable with saying that they are much more interested in promoting an image of Americanness and the diversity of Americanness versus pushing a narrative of Black Americanness, if that makes sense. There's so much intelligence in her book. There's so much intelligence in the way she talks. So I know she's aware of this, but in the way that she walks the line on saying, because I'm a Black woman, I went through these things differently, but also claiming that like white people, it's just all about a misunderstanding, right? That it's not necessarily about a system and structures that are meant to oppress us. You know, it's like tongue in cheek, because I read it like she gets that this political system needs to be dismantled, right? Like she gets that politics ain't really gonna save us. But she can't say that much because, well, her husband was president. And you can't undermine all these other political people who are now your close associates and friends. But more or less, like when she went the whole scene in the school where she's talking to the kids and she's like, you know, they ain't gonna do nothing for you. These people back in the hill, they ain't gonna do nothing for you. That's kind of saying you need to uprise. But she kind of walks the line on it. Look, Becoming was not my favorite read, because when she's walking the line in the ways that I have already discussed in this review, I feel like it's because of her brand, right? Her brand is far reaching. Like to go to that book tour stop in Austin in a stadium and it be sold out. The amount of times I got stopped because people noticed that I was listening to and reading Becoming, and it was always older white women who wanted to sit down and discuss Michelle Obama with me, and I'm like, girl, I ain't got the time. I got to interview her. I'm trying to prepare. It's an amazing feat to see her cultivate the brand that she has cultivated. So even though I have these very direct criticisms about the book and therefore about her brand, those criticisms also foster because I just understand the magnificence of what she has been able to do thus far. And I uniquely think she is in a very unique position to be the person that I want her to be, but I also understand that might be unfair. I can't be asking her for all this labor. But she really commands a vast audience, and it is a beautiful sight to see. But I also felt like the book was written with the intention of cultivating that vast audience, and so I think we lose some essence of what it means to be Black in America because you don't want to make the white woman uncomfortable. I think we should all read the book. I think you should all download it on Audible at least, play it in the background, hear it, listen to it, because I still think the beauty in the book is being able to have these discussions about how we are critical of Michelle Obama and to interrogate the ways we feel about her. And I think the book does provide a good foundation because we've never gotten this much information from her about her before. So I still think that I would highly recommend folks read Becoming, but I also understand why Sasha ain't read it yet. I understand why some people might be slow to finish it. You know, I get me, but it's an easy read. It's very accessible. Audible is great. Again, a great discussion piece. I absolutely think the book gives you a lot to talk about. Okay? Thanks for watching. Thanks to Audible for making this review possible. Be sure, whether you get Becoming or any other book that I recommended to you before, I am a greatly, especially in my pursuit of reading these history books, putting Audible on my Google Home is, you know, playing it on the speaker in the house, be the best thing ever. So be sure to use my audible.com/Julesy link or text Julesy to 500 to get your first month free on Audible. They have an amazing selection also of Audible Originals, which is exclusive content created by celebrated storytellers from a diverse range of backgrounds. So again, be sure to use my link. Help us sister out so we can keep having these book reviews coming to you in 2019 with the Smart Brown Girl book club. Bookstore girl. The Smart Brown Girl book club is on its way. We're working on it. We're getting it together. Things are moving in the background. All right. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you were able to comment along and you enjoyed this conversation. Deuces!